Don Favazzo,
Here.
Bill Garrett, Sander Gershman,
Here.
Bill Michelson,
Here.
Larry Quirk,
Here.
Gary Schneider,
Here.
Reginald Thomas,
Here.
Gail Smith Alexander.
Here.
And Bill G is just joining us.
Okie doke. So you have a quorum.
Okay, great. Let me give everybody just a short explanation of what we're doing tonight. We have an informational case regarding the former YMCA building. There was one other case on the agenda, but they're not ready to move. That's Dudley House for the sign. They didn't do the notices yet. And then we have discussion items, the most interesting of which is that there's been some further developments on the matter of the Prospect and Hillside Avenues intersection. So, do them in those order, and I'd like to have public input, so, we'll talk more about it when we get started. We have 3 sets of meeting minutes that April and I have put together, and I'll ask this separately for the 3 meetings, but then I think we can just do one motion. Are there any comments or questions regarding the July 28th, 2020 minutes? Hearing none. Any questions or comments about the August 25th, 2020 minutes? Hearing none. Any questions or comments about the September 22nd, 2020 minutes? Hearing none. May I have a motion then to adopt all 3?
Motion to adopt all 3?
Yeah. Okay, Gary, was that you?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and who wants the second? Gail. There's one other item of business.
You got to vote. You got to vote.
How about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone got issues? No. I'm informal because I'm sitting in my bedroom. That's the only thing that's strange to me about the virtual meetings.
More news than we need to know.
Right. Well, I have my cat right behind me. She gets involved. She won't speak. Okay, one other item of business that should have been on the agenda. I'm going to ask for a resolution on this. We have a set of rules regarding the remote emergency meetings that we have been having because we're an official city body doing formal proceedings. There really needs to be a resolution in force. And this was, I guess, basically drawn up by Department of Community Affairs, and Ruben adapted it a bit to our particulars, and I went over it to make a few fine points. And you should have all received this several days ago when April mailed them out. And it contains a lot of particulars about how to do the meeting. We try as closely as we can to track this to the same way we would do an ordinary in-person meeting. And I go through the procedure a little more carefully because people have to be able to hear. So every time we have something pending before us, I will make the statement. We'll do what we've been doing for the last few minutes. I will then open it up to public comment and questions, and ultimately we will vote on it in the normal course. And this has never actually happened, but if we had a problem with an unruly observer, I have the power to mute them. So far, I've never done that to anybody, and I don't intend to. But it's meant to preserve the record. We make a formal record of these meetings even though it's a bit out of the ordinary that they have to be used in this kind of detail. And because of that, I'm a stickler for making everything clear. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Hearing none. May I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
Go ahead, Reg.
I make a motion.
Okay. Second.
Aye.
Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay, we have an informational meeting on HPC 2020-7. This is the former YMCA building that's right across the street from City Hall, 512 to 524 Watchung Avenue. It's in the Civic Historic District, which is a bit different than any of our other districts because it doesn't have zoning regulations, it doesn't have bulk requirements. It's assumed that the only uses in the district are city government and the former YMCA when they closed down, maybe 2 years ago. And there is a private firm that has drawn up a very detailed proposal for converting the YMCA into a combination of commercial and residential space. And they want to go through this with us in some detail because they want the opportunity to hear our thoughts and to also get an understanding of what the commission is likely to require or to say about this when we get to a formal public meeting when we actually have to approve the plan. This is also a little outside our ordinary proceeding because the part of the property is not in the historic district, and part of the property has a building that we'll be talking about that I don't think is widely considered to be historic. And let's see how it goes. Now, after the commission makes comments and asks questions of the presenting individuals, I do intend to open this to public questions. And let's just see if we've got plenty of time for it, really. Let's just see how much interest there is at that point. Okay.
Bill, I just want you to know that there are a number of people who need to be moved for this informational meeting from attendees into participants. The first one that's on there is Steve Wilder from Think Wilder Architecture.
Okay.
Nana Duncan, who is a representative of the developer, and there was one other person, and somebody just popped off. I think that's, and if you'd like, Marsha Moore, she's the attorney.
Yeah.
Okay, so those people need to be moved up into the participants list.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Oliqua.
No problem. Next time, just have them put their hand, do the hand raise, and I'll move them over that way so you don't have to tell me their names.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Wilder, would you like to be first to talk? Larry, yes.
Yeah, Bill, could you just lay out before we start which portion of the property is in the district and which portion is not?
The old building is in the district. The addition along East 6th Street is in the district. If I'm not mistaken, part of the parking lot is and part of the parking lot is not. There's the City Hall Annex that's directly to the north of the YMCA, and I don't think there's anything about that that's going to be raised here. And then there's a couple of commercial properties north of that, and there's an old building on the northwest corner that we will talk about. Because the city is putting together its proposal for what they call the Cleveland Avenue Arts District, but it overlaps our Civic Historic District. We've certainly got jurisdiction over some of this, and if there are details to be worked out, we'll deal with that when we have the meeting where we're actually going to make decisions on it.
But when you say the two edition, you mean the old brick edition and what I'll call the 60s arcade edition? Are both of those in the district?
I'm not sure I know what your old edition is. I'm only aware of the main building and that 1960s structure.
I was talking about the lower brick building in between the main building, which is 3.5 stories, and the 60s arcade building.
Bill, can I confirm?
Yeah.
What you see on Watchung Avenue that was the first part of the Y. That was built on or around 1920. There is an addition on 5th, is it 5th? Which is the brick edition, or better known as the L. That is also considered historic. The building behind, which is white, that's the one that's partially in, partially out of the Civic and Cleveland. So there's basically the addition, the original Y and the L, which was done 2 to 3 years after the original building. Those are the two buildings that are considered historic. Behind it is the white building. Barton could, talk to that better than I could.
Well, the presenters will do that.
Okay.
Now, April, is this on the National Register?
Again, Barton, unmute yourself.
The state and national and local.
State and national.
And local, all three.
Yeah, and do we know if the state and national designations extend to the whole property, or what do they extend to?
I can send an image, but Bill, basically what you said was correct. The buildings are in the district. The parking lot, the back part of the parking lot is not.
All right. Well, like I said, next time we deal with this, where we're actually making a decision, we'll get more exactitude from the applicants, and any questions like this will be clearly set forth. Okay, those that wish to speak, I'm going to ask you to just identify yourselves for the record and give your addresses and your professional qualifications. Mr. Wilder, you can start.
Good evening. I want to say thank you guys for having us tonight. Thanks for the opportunity to meet with you guys and discuss the project and help us figure out how we can get a compromise in terms of our new project while also maintaining the YMCA building. I'm a licensed architect in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and where else? And Michigan. My address is 265 West 136th Street, Harlem, New York. I have office in West Orange, 155 Prospect Avenue. Is there anything else you need from me?
No, that'll do. Now, the other people that are with you on this call, who wants to speak to us? Who do you want to speak to us, Mr.
Marcia.
Good evening. My name is Marcia Moore. I'm an attorney with a law firm of Post Pollock. I'm the applicant's attorney. My office is 425 Roseland Avenue, 425 Eagle Rock Avenue in Roseland. Again, Mr. Wilder will be presenting. Again, this is an informational meeting, so Mr. Wilder will be doing the bulk of the discussion tonight on seeking some guidance on what we're proposing as far as this adaptive reuse.
Perfect. But I do see one other person that's in a box on my screen. So, Nana Duncan, is she going to participate?
Yes, I'm Nana Duncan, and I'm a co-developer on the project. My office is in West Orange at 155 Prospect Avenue. I'm on here to, provide any comments should the board have questions outside the scope of the architecture or the plan itself.
Excellent. Mr. Wilder, proceed any way you like. Set this out for us. Remember, we've got members of the public. I don't know where that noise is coming from.
Yeah, I'm hearing an echo.
Members of the public that will want to know about this possibly on a more elemental level than what I expect to hear. So, floor is yours.
Okay, so our objective for the evening is to arrive at a place where we can submit our project and eventually gain approvals based on the direction of you guys in terms of what necessarily needs to be restored and preserved on the building, while also enhancing the project, keeping the great parts of the YMCA building while also enhancing the project by adding a new addition at the at the area where the parking lot is located, as well as the additional lot 5, which is also a part of this project but not included in the civic district. And so through the new redevelopment plan, this site has been under the Cleveland Arts District. And so the project is, in terms of the program, is based on the bulk requirements of that project. And so also it talks about the uses as well as amount of floors and size of the building. And so our goal is to adaptively reuse the building for our new intended purpose while still maintaining the essence of the exterior of the building. Am I allowed to present, or?
Yes, you are. We got plenty of time.
Okay.
And I'm not positive if everybody has the same portfolio that I do. April, she's not on right now. Did everybody get the copies of the on large paper like we usually do?
I can confirm that at least I have received it. I received it as part of a pack.
Okay. I know we had some question about how to make this available to the public. I don't really know how that ended. April, do you remember?
Well, what I was put up on the city's website was the electronic plans. All the commission members, including Ruben and Barton, were all sent the full scale projects because the 11 by 17 was difficult to read. It didn't show details of materials. It didn't really show the fact that the L, it was hard to see that the L was being removed. 2 buildings were going to propose to be knocked down. That's why you guys all got the larger set of plans.
Okay.
Are we able to share screen in this environment?
Yeah, I was just waiting for. I didn't know if you guys wanted to do it, but I'm ready whenever you guys are.
IT.
Setting up the shared screen.
No, I have it. I can share.
Okay, go ahead.
Can everyone see my screen?
There we go.
Okay, so this is a revision of what was submitted a couple weeks ago, and part of the revision is just me updating it based on the comments that we received. We have not responded to everything in the document with the comments. Just because of time, but we have added a significant amount of stuff to better clarify what we're trying to do. And so I'll kind of go through this, and hopefully you guys will be able to understand what we're trying to do and what our intentions are. So this is the building as it currently stands, and you see this main facade, which is located along Watchung Avenue, with the secondary facade off of 6th Street, where you see the 60s edition white building as well as the other brick portion addition. And this is a historical image I found with a postcard, which is close to the same, except the main entry of the building. But I think we get a sense of what the building used to look like. It doesn't include that white YMCA section, which we all know is an obvious addition. So this is just to give more context of the area and the work that we're trying to do in terms of the location and the size of the lots. And so this building is the building which is on lot 5, not included as a part of this building, but this is the original YMCA with the extension located here, as well as other sections of the YMCA behind the building along this side, next to the annex, as well as the other brick portion here.
Let me just stop you there because this is the first question I had. That building at the northwest part of the property, which was a restaurant supply house for a long time, is that included in this or not? Or is it being demolished or not?
You said northwest right here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes, it's being demolished.
Corner of East 5th and Cleveland.
Yes, that building is being demolished.
Has any thought been given to whether it should not be demolished but somehow incorporated into the rest of the project?
Yes, there has been thought, but due to some of the bulk requirements and what we have to deal with in terms of sales price, and the developer she's on, and she can speak to that a little bit more than I can. It doesn't allow us to meet our goals in terms of developing the project and attaining the amount of parking, which drives the amount of units we can have. And so a lot of this is clearing the site so we can attain the necessary parking necessary to get the amount of residential units for the mixed use project.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Continue.
And so as we move the next, probably the next 10 or so sheets, pages are going to be images of the facade and some of the surrounding area. And so this is the facade on Watchung Ave, which we intend to keep in its entirety. This is the facade that contains the most distinctive features that we feel are very strong and actually enhance our project. And we want to make sure that we're maintaining this facade. And then as we turn the corner as we go west on the north side, this is the side of the building and also the courtyard area between the annex. And you also see this cementitious section of the building that's connected to the gym on this side of the building. So here is where this is, I guess, the top of this L that we would likely be keeping as it's closest to the street. It kind of turns the corner and you're still able to connect with the facade. And so you're not necessarily losing anything while the rest of the building on this facade does not have, although it continues, we feel that it just doesn't necessarily have as distinctive features as it does on the facade. And also these parts of this building are not actually seen unless you are really going into this area. And then this is the 6th Street facade, where our goal is to keep the 3-story section of the building while removing the white building, the extension of the YMCA, as well as the 2-story brick portion where it's very clear that this was an addition at some point. And so even if you look at the concrete band that stops right here, it's clear that this was an addition, and these are, in our opinion, a more more of the distinctive, historically interesting features of the building. While when it gets beyond that point, we feel that there's not necessarily that same level of distinctive features that we would like to remove. These are more close-up images of the facade at Watchung Avenue and also some of the site. Again, these are things that we really value and would like to keep in the project, as we feel that it enhances our proposed development. And then we get into some images of the surrounding area and some of the other historic buildings that are along Watchung Avenue, and just also some of the scale. Like if you take this building in this image on the bottom right corner, you see the scale of some of the other projects, which will reference in terms of our building kind of fitting along this scale, because this is only a block away, less than a block away, and they have a 6-story building that's pretty nondescript, and we feel that adding our building will actually enhance this area while also maintaining the scale of this building and some of the surrounding buildings. There's a real diversity in terms of the housing typology in this area. And so we feel that we would be fitting into what's existing in the area. Again, more of the various types of buildings in the area. This is the building I mentioned before, a more close-up of the building. As you see, the color of the brick is pretty much the same in this area, so that's one thing we would be retaining. And one thing I wasn't able to do was to prepare color renderings for this due to time, but by the time we have our actual presentation with the HPC, those will be prepared. More houses, and this is the church that is around the corner. I think it's Grace Episcopal, off of Cleveland and off of 6th Street, and some of the homes in the area. So the other thing I wanted to point out is as you come closer to Cleveland Avenue, it begins to get very residential. And so although there is the redevelopment plan for the Cleveland Arts District where they want to infuse the area with a lot of arts, it's still a residential area. And we feel that adding our building kind of fits into that, while also making sure that some of the mixed use that we're adding fits into the community in terms of really attracting local artists and art lovers with art galleries and things of that nature. This is this building here is the building you're talking about that's on the corner of 5th and Cleveland. This is the side facing the north. This here is the rear of the YMCA building with the annex next to it. And this image is going towards the building from 5th Street on Watchung. And then this is that same building here on 5th and Cleveland, but looking at it from Cleveland Avenue. So it's clear that it's an historic building. It has an industrial feel to it, not necessarily anything of historical relevance in our opinion. And so that's another reason why we felt that it would probably be best to demolish it. More images. Now we're along Cleveland, looking at the rear of the building over here, and then this is the other building that I just mentioned, as well as we. This is image from the parking lot and lot 5, and then this is also the rear of the YMCA extension. So as you can see, obviously there's nothing here now, so we feel that our building kind of playing to what the Cleveland Arts redevelopment plan wants is to enhance this block, enhance the streetscape, and that's something that our project will provide. So now we get into some of the images of the interior. For those who haven't been in there, I've been in there a couple of times in the past few months, and so I have some of these images to share with you guys, just for those who aren't familiar with it. So on the first floor and also at the basement, there's the gym. Of course, most YMCA's have a gym. So this is the gym. It hasn't been used in some time, like most of the building. And this is the first floor. So this is some of the windows, the stairs, and also some of the office space. A lot of the interior has been changed from what it originally was used, because I think it was converted to like office spaces and things like that. So a lot of the interior has changed, and a lot of the historical features have been removed so that whatever is there is not necessarily comprehensive or connecting to what's presented on the exterior. This is the second floor, and it's just of the L. So there's nothing but rooms up here, small rooms. There's obviously signs of water leaking and just a lot of damage done at the interior. Definitely nothing of historical interest on the second floor as well as the third floor. This is the third floor. As you can see, there's been some demolition going on through there. There's a bunch of windows that have been open over a long period of time up there. So there's literally, we were in there and birds were flying around. As you can see, bird feces all throughout that top floor. So most likely all of this stuff would have to be removed anyway. So this is another thing that we feel that we have to remove. Now, the one thing that we will not be removing is the floor-to-floor height, because due to the windows and their location, it does not really work unless you kind of maintain the floor-to-floor height. We may adjust somewhat, but in order to maintain the use of those windows and use of that space, we kind of have to keep the same floor-to-floor with the same concrete construction. And then this is the basement and the cellar. So there's a swimming pool down there, not in use. And then there's some open spaces that seem to be like community rooms or things like that. And then some of the mechanical spaces down there. And then we get into the site plan and what we're proposing. What I'll do is I'll show this one. I want to show this diagram first to just get an understanding of what we're proposing. So this is based on a survey that we have showing the existing building and the size of the building and the lot. And so this is what's here now. And if you come over to this plan, this is what the hatched area is, what the section of the building that we plan to remove. And we also may need to remove some of this area, but right now it's difficult to coordinate that because we need to figure out where our floor-to-floor heights will change because of the new building addition. And then this is the proposed new building that fits all of the BOP requirements, requiring little to no BOP variances or waivers, but also showing how the existing building is still there. This is the roof plan, so you're seeing it from a top view, but you're also able to see the extension of the building while also where we're keeping part of the L, at least the distinctive features that we feel should remain. And then so I'll go back to this slide, which shows our proposed site plan. as well as how we're not necessarily changing the site beyond the actual building. So we're still creating parking located under the building. Here is where our commercial space is going to be located along Cleveland Avenue, while also having commercial space here, because we feel that this is such a strong image and strong part of the project that we want to make sure that it is an attractive use, and people will still climb the steps to enter the building. But for the most part, we'll have some commercial space there, as also some of our amenities, because it's easier to locate these things here because there's not necessarily a floor-to-floor height that fits residential use. So this is where some of these things are going to be located. We still are going to maintain this access from the side while also creating a nicer courtyard that is actually more usable for adjacent buildings and people in the neighborhood, as well as residents of the building. And so here is another diagram showing the hatch sections of the building that we plan to remove with the images attached to it. So we have the rear of the YMCA, the Y extension shown here in pictures 2, 3, and 4. And then we have the brick extension, the 2-story brick extension in number 5, as well as the rear of the YMCA and the rear of the YMCA extension. So you see it at here where these two meet. There's no clear connection. If you look closer, it's almost like no seam or anything there. So we feel, one, that this definitely can be removed, and also just seeing this from the rear from Cleveland Avenue, there's really nothing distinctive about the historic nature of this side of the building. And then there's more images from the north and above. So looking at the roof plan, these are sections of the building that we are proposing to remove, as well as the side between the annex of the building. And this is just some of the entrance, which it appears that this section of the building may have been added later for ADA purposes right here. And so these things we feel are not part of the original building, nor do they carry historic value or able to be not necessarily seen when you're looking from Watchung Avenue. And now we get into the proposed plan of the building and the proposed elevations. And so, as I mentioned before, this is the ground floor plan where our amenities, as well as some of our commercial spaces located on Cleveland and Watchung Avenue. Also, and we would still maintain the existing basement that's there in this area. And so we would have our utilities, which some are already located in this place, but we would move all of our utilities to this section of the building, as well as some other amenities like fitness room and storage in this area. And then as we move to the floors, now we start laying out the apartments, and we have a total. Our original submission was a 5-story, but we revised it, and we have a 6-story building with a total of 165 units, which are we have some live work units with studio apartments, as well as some 1-bedrooms. We have amenities that are really innovative in terms of what we're going to offer to some of the residents, as well as people who are not residents will have spaces that include things for the youth, like art galleries and things inside of the building, as well as on Watchung and Cleveland Avenue. And so these are the additional floors, just showing the layouts. And you can see here, here now we still using this top floor, but now we start going into where it's mostly residential on the floors above. And one thing I like to do with a lot of my projects is just not only having open space on the ground floor, but having open space throughout the project. And so one thing is we're proposing is actually having a roof that is accessible on top of the existing YMCA. But obviously I would like feedback from you guys, because I know this is Watchung Avenue, and I would like to know how you guys feel about that. But we also providing open space on the level on the 5th floor. A lot of open space for private terraces for live work, so some of the apartments up there, as well as other tenants in the building, which will also include the main roof, where we will incorporate certain green features like green roofs and solar panels. And so these are the elevations of the building. Right here is what we see now. This is the existing building. And this is pretty much just boxing this to show the section of the building that we will be removing. So over here and over here is what we're proposing to remove, while also, as you can see just from the elevations, that we're keeping this, and we're keeping this, which has it's a very nice facade in it. And we definitely felt that this is something that we wanted to keep. And even here, but even as you move south on the block, it just from this elevation, it changes. And so we felt that this was the opportunity to kind of enhance the project, as well as still restore this area. And I think even as you scroll down to the proposed elevations, now we kind of accentuate this part of the building by separating this portion, which doesn't necessarily tie into the original facade, but also creating a new building that adds to it, while also letting this portion of the building kind of have its own space. Sorry. And then this is, and so another thing that I wanted to show is that because we're adding stories a lot of times from the main street or elevation, you tend to possibly see what's above, which may change the way you feel about the original facade. And so that's why I stepped the building, and I wanted to create a sight line just to show that if you're looking from 80 feet across the street on Watchung Avenue, you're not necessarily going to see this. Like, obviously, if you go up inside of City Hall, you'll see it because you're elevated. But if you're at the ground level, you still get to see this section of the building, with this portion being in the background. So also that diagram looking from this elevation, where if I'm on this side of the street in front of City Hall and I'm looking up, this roof line is really not allowing me to see what's beyond it. And then these elevations are from mostly Cleveland Avenue, as well as the other sides of the building, the interior of the parking lot and the rear of the building. And so although I don't have colored renderings, the brick, we're maintaining the same brick color that is in the area, and also the same color as the existing YMCA, just to make sure that it feels compatible, not only with material, but also the color of the material. But then we're also adding a more contemporary material with metal panels throughout the project. And so that's where this side here is the wall along the building along 6th Street. And then as it turns, it sort of gets into this material, the brick, to sort of re-emphasize what we see on 6th Street and to help balance the design with splashes of the metal panel throughout to tie it all together. And then on the inside or the back of the building, now we have more of a metal panel, which is not necessarily going to be seen from the street. So there is a little bit of separation in terms of what's there, and some just window elevations. And so what's there now are aluminum windows, and just based on my experience and the timeline and when this building was erected, I assume that the windows were wood. So we do want to replace the windows with wood windows to kind of restore what was originally there, and just to add to that historical value that's there, while also cleaning the facade with the gentlest means possible. As we discover, it's not, in my opinion, the building is not that dirty when I've seen it, because there was some work done. There has been some repointing that has been done at one point it's kind of patchy in a sense. So we would want to correct all of that on the existing facade, as well as cleaning the limestone and the brick, as well as the metal cornice at the top. And that's pretty much our presentation. So, like I said, we're in a situation where we're trying to be able to present our project to the planning board, and there's a bit of a scheduling conflict. And so, although we understand that this is a process with HPC, that we are looking forward to going through that process with you guys, but our immediate objective is to get some sort of confirmation from you guys of what we are allowed to keep and what we are allowed to remove, as they determine what we're able to present to the planning board. And while we're seeking planning board approval, if we could get, I don't know if it will be a conditional approval from you guys, but something from you guys, just letting everyone know that we're working with you to provide everything you need, including responding to Barton's comments from regarding the actual design package submitted, but that we will be completing all of these things, and our planning board approval will be conditional upon meeting all of the requirements of HPC.
What's your time frame? You're thinking of particular dates already for the planning board to approve this and for us to approve this?
Well, not necessarily for you to approve it, because we can't anticipate how long that will take. But we are presenting, our goal is to present to the planning board December 17th.
Then we're going to try to tell you as much as we can tonight.
Okay.
I can go to the planning board meeting. I frequently do. In this case, I can do it from my bedroom. They like to ask me questions about what we're going to want or what we're going to do. I just want to start with a couple of questions, and then we're going to go around the table.
Sure.
The number of apartments, can you break that down for me, please, between 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, and studio?
I was at the sheet waiting for you. So we have 37 studios, 18 1-bedrooms, and 110 live-work units.
What's a live-work unit?
So live-work units are, I guess you can say it's new to Plainfield. They've recently added to the redevelopment plans, and one of the things is to attract different types of residents, and especially in the art district. And so it's basically a place which actually for these times, when we're all working from home, you're able to stay at home without necessarily going to an office. So if you're an artist, you may use a significant portion of your apartment to create or to hold meetings and certain things like that. And so we actually received planning board approval recently for the adjacent block 836, for 118 unit building that had about 80 or so live work units. Marsha, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. So that was we implemented the live work in that building as well.
I'm not sure I understand your answer. Are you talking about, by live work units, are you talking about 2-bedroom apartments where you expect that a lot of people will use that second bedroom for either?
No.
Studio?
And that's a great question, because that was one of the things that was ambiguous about the definition of the live work unit. So they range in size. So that's the first thing. It doesn't have to be the size of a 2-bedroom or the size of a 1-bedroom, but it functions as you have a bedroom where you sleep, and then your living area is almost like a studio apartment. So think of a studio apartment with a bedroom next to it. So that large open space can be used for everything. If you look up live work unit, it'll say anything as small as a desk can be considered a live work unit if you have a desk in your apartment. If you own a business and you've had to write off certain things, sometimes they ask you for what is the size of that space, and now you have to do a calculation based on the rent you pay that you work in so that you can write it off on your taxes. So in essence, the live work unit, you would be able to say that out of 1,000 square foot apartment, 800 of that is the work portion of my apartment.
Okay. And then I just want to ask you about parking. Is there going to be any underground parking? Is there going to be any second floor parking, like a ramp? Or how much of the ground level will be covered with pavement for parking?
Yeah, I don't have the calculations to answer how much of it is going to be covered with parking. We can look at the site plan, but all the parking is surface parking, so there is nothing underground, and there is nothing. There is no ramp. There is no parking structure.
Okay. For those who may remember this, it was only, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, we actually gave approval for putting a 3rd floor on what some are calling the L section of the building. And obviously that never took place. So that's going to become completely void now. All right. Let me ask you to close the shared screen so that we can see each other. And then we can go around the group any which way for questions from the commission. Yeah.
Can I ask for Barton to talk first about what he thinks this whole project is all about and how it weighs in?
If he wants to.
Oh, he does.